Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of December 4th, 2025, including Marvel Cosmic Invasion is super cool. A new entry in the Dead Rising series could be on the way. Please stop talking about the Splinter Cell remake. I don't know if I believe it's ever happening. All that and more. On this day in Xbox history, in the year 2007, 18 years ago, the History Channel, Battle for the Pacific, was released for the Xbox 360. Welcome to Xbox On Podcast, you guys. I want to start this week off with an important update / reminder. Technically, it's an update because I haven't told you about it yet, so I'm not reminding you of it. I'm just now telling you. Whatever. Guys, the Game Awards is next week, and as is the case every year, the Game Awards is always on Thursday, which is the same day the podcast goes live. Although, wait, hang on. This year, no, yeah, it's a Thursday. So the Game Awards will take place Thursday night, December 11th, a week from the day this podcast goes live. And so to accommodate that, because I will be working Friday and I have a normal adult job routine of going to bed at a reasonable hour on Thursday nights and waking up early Friday mornings, what will happen is the podcast is going to get delayed next week. So instead of going live on the morning of the 11th at 9 a.m. Eastern time on the 11th, it will go live at 9 a.m. on Saturday the 13th. So a full 2-day delay. 1 day for the Game Awards to happen, for us to cover it, and 2 days because I'll be at work all day Friday, so I'll have to do the show after work Friday. Anyway, not a big deal. I just want to make sure I put that out there now. There's someone who's going to forget about it. They're going to message me on Twitter, and they're going to go, "Hey, buddy, where's the podcast? Forget to go live this week?" And I'm going to say, yes, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll forget. I don't know. But anyway, the podcast next week, instead of going live Thursday the 11th, will go live Saturday the 13th. A 2-day wait. But guys, I mean, as you're already going to see with this week's episode, this is the calm before the storm. There's really nothing to talk about. The Game Awards is the last big notable news story of the year. And then, from there, we'll get into our fun year-end wrap-up kind of shows as we round out December, where we'll talk about favorite games of the year, things to look forward to in 2026, etc., 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 etc. If you've listened to the podcast for any number of years by now, you know this show doesn't take any time off. There is no holiday break. Xbox On will continue to be a weekly show that is available to you every single week throughout the month of December, and as the news kind of dries up around the holidays, we'll just find fun topics to talk about, reflecting on the year, looking at the year ahead, etc. So, guys, thank you for allowing me to get some housekeeping and scheduling out of the way. With that said, welcome to the Xbox On Podcast. Let's kick off with some notable game releases of the week. I'm going to start off with the one I don't give a shit about, because the other two games I care so much about that I just want to sit and relish in them for a second. So, first one here is Octopath Traveler 0. I didn't even know this was a game. I know there's an Octopath Traveler 1 and 2. I didn't even know there was a 0. I don't know if this is a remaster of the first one. It wouldn't surprise me, since Japanese companies love remastering games that are like 4 years old. So that would track. But I also know Japanese companies love making prequels called 0. So I don't know what this is. I don't know how this totally phased me and I missed it. But I'm going to be real with you guys. Octopath Traveler, I hear it's a great RPG series. I don't give a shit, so I'm not going to feign interest. But it's available December 4th, the day this podcast goes live, Thursday, for Xbox Series consoles as well as Xbox One and PC. So get your hands on that if you're an Octopath fan. Now, for me, the second game here is the one most relevant to this show that I'm definitely most excited about, and that is Marvel Cosmic Invasion. This is the last Xbox game of the year that's like really got my eye. So spoiler alert, I've already played a lot of this game. We'll talk about it when we get to the what I've been playing. Not really spoiler alert, but this game came out on Monday, December 1st, this past Monday. So yeah, I've been playing this after work all week. I'm really, really enjoying it, and we will talk about it, but it is available now for Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles and PC, as well as other platforms. So we'll get back to you, Marvel Cosmic Invasion. And then the next game, the last game I want to mention, is not even coming to the the Xbox. It's coming to the Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, and the reason I'm going to give it a shout out is because, I'm sorry guys, you know me, I'm a huge Halo fan, but there are two sci-fi video game franchises that I totally, absolutely adore, and they are Halo and Metroid, because Metroid, even though I think Halo's more my speed, I prefer more of a arena shooter like skill-based first-person game. I still absolutely adore Metroid. I love Metroid for its vibe and its aesthetic and its tone so much. Very similarly to how I love Halo, and so I just always kind of compare these franchises, even though gameplay wise, there's not a whole lot of similarity between Metroid and Halo. Although I always love to point out, I do love how when Halo kind of took on its own evolution with Halo 4 and 5 when 343 took over the franchise and they really took liberties with evolving the aesthetic of Halo. I always admired that there's so much Metroid Prime influence in Halos 4 and 5 because a lot of people that used to work at Retro on Metroid games went on to work at 343, and it fucking shows because Halo 4 and 5 have a lot of Metroid inspired aesthetic to them, and I always loved that about Halos 4 and 5, but of course we can't enjoy nice things like that, and we had to capitulate to a bunch of 38-year-old fucking Ram 2500 Rockstar Energy drinking losers and try to make Halo Infinite for some odd reason just look like Halo 1. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond comes out this week for Switch, and I just want to shout it out because I fucking love Metroid, and I think it's cool. And if you play Nintendo platforms, Metroid. All right, guys, that's it for notable game releases. We are going to just hop right into the news because, like I said, it's a slow news week. This is the calm before the storm. The Game Awards, we're expecting tons of good news. I don't think we will get the reveal of the next Xbox hardware, the next generation of Xbox. But there is a chance that we get it. I think there is like a 15% chance Xbox shows up at the Game Awards to reveal their next home console. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I just want to be very clear. Like, I'm very firmly in the camp that I do not think it's going to happen, but I do think there is technically a possibility. So I just had to get that out there. Otherwise, I'm just excited for the game announcements. I don't care for the awards. The show always goes on too long, always has some cringy moments, some interesting moments, some funny moments, and then some really boring, dull moments. I'm ready for all of it. I just want to see those announcements. So, guys, let's hop into the news, get this week's slower news week out of the way. But I do want to mention one thing I actually just saw as I was scrolling around threads just before I hit record. I guess, according to Tom Warren over at The Verge, Xbox has announced or is currently rolling out an update for the Xbox iOS and Android app, which is going to add the Xbox Store to the app, which I'm very, very excited about. I've been waiting for them to do this for a very long time. I was always under the assumption that the reason why they didn't do this was because, they've already done it. Okay, I'm looking at it here. Wow, yeah, it's already there. So if you are in the Xbox app, you can look up games and shop around for games and see prices and things like that. This is awesome. I was always under the impression the reason they didn't do this is because for some reason you can't have a store within a storefront. It's like, especially with Apple's ecosystem, they're very protective over like that kind of stuff. And so to avoid all the stress and headache that goes around that, they just haven't allowed you to be able to purchase and see prices for video games on the Xbox app. It doesn't look like you can buy games on the Xbox app. Oh, no, you can. Oh, you can straight up buy games. Cool. This is fucking sick. I've been waiting for Xbox to do this to the app for a long time. I'm sorry, this is very unprofessional of me, but I'm on my phone looking at the Xbox app while podcasting. This is super awesome. And hey, Halo Infinite is on sale for $20. I need to pick that up because I've only ever used it through Game Pass. And now that I'm not a Game Pass sex offender or whatever the fuck the top tier is called, I have to rebuy this because God forbid there be a Halo game that's not in my library. All right, cool. Good to know. Anyway, I just thought that was an exciting update for all of us here. So, first thing, that's news story 0, actually, if we're going off Japanese naming conventions. So let's get into news story number 1 now, which is that Capcom is reportedly working on a new Dead Rising sequel. So this is pretty relevant to Xbox fans. Capcom's working on a new Dead Rising game, it's reported. This is from VGC, VGC's write-up of a report from MP First, which VGC can partially corroborate with their own sources. And this claims that an active development zombie action sequel will also see the return of the original game's protagonist, Frank West. The project in question won't be a remaster or a remake, as we recently got with the first game, but a new main entry in the series, the publisher claims. So I think we left off at Dead Rising 4, so this would be a Dead Rising 5, or as modern games are all named, it would be called like Dead Rising : Delinquents, or Dead Rising Deadborn or something, because everything's like born or fall, so it'd be called like Deadfall or Deadborn. I'm going to call it Dead Rising Deadborn because there's a pretty good chance it's called that. It's said that the new Dead Rising sequel will see Frank West head to Hollywood, with action primarily taking place within a massive enclosed movie studio lot where the game's main villain forces Frank and other survivors into various trials. All the pursuits of filming his perfect movie. That sounds like a fun zombie game synopsis, and possibly a game we could see at something like the Game Awards. If not the Game Awards, maybe even at the Xbox Developer Direct that they do every January. Because remember, Dead Rising, and while it has made its way over and migrated to PlayStation many times in the past, has historically been one of those rare Japanese games that is affiliated with Xbox. The first Dead Rising was an Xbox exclusive and then came to PS3 later, kind of like BioShock. And then the second Dead Rising, I think, was on both platforms. And then the third Dead Rising was an Xbox One launch window game. And then the fourth Dead Rising came out a few years into the Xbox One generation and kind of flopped. And that one was multi-platform, but the third one was exclusive to Xbox One. I'm going solely off memory, so I'm probably very wrong here. But I know something along those lines was the case. Yeah, Dead Rising has always been an Xbox affiliated game, even when they haven't been Xbox exclusive or timed exclusive. They've always been announced and marketed around the Xbox brand. So there's a good chance that this is something that earliest we see it at the Game Awards next week or the Developer Direct in January. Latest, we probably see it at the Xbox Developer or Xbox Summer Showcase in June. Now, the other option, if we're not affiliating with Xbox, is that this game could be announced totally separate from Xbox, because you got to remember, Dead Rising was a series that kind of happened in a time where Xbox was a relevant brand for gaming, and Xbox is currently not an irrelevant brand, but just a console brand that probably doesn't make the most sense for you to align yourself with, considering that no one buys these consoles anymore. Plus, that Dead Rising remaster that they did of the first game, was that a year ago now? That wasn't marketed as like some Xbox thing. That was just available on all platforms. It came day and date on PlayStation and everything. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if Capcom is working with Xbox to do like a Dead Rising 5 and make it like some kind of Xbox. I assume this game will be a day and date PlayStation 5 game, no doubt about it. But it'll be interesting to see if it gets the marketing tie-in with the Xbox brand because of this series' history, and despite Xbox's recent struggles to remain even remotely relevant to anyone out, within the gaming nerd culture ecosystem fan base. So whatever, we'll wait and see. Pretty cool. Dead Rising is a game, it's like, I played the first one, I played the demo for the second one. I like this series. I never played 3 and 4. I don't really care for Dead Rising all that much. Like, if they make a Dead Rising 5, I'll be honest with you, I'm not buying it. But it's like one of those series, it's like, I appreciate it, I admire it, I totally get why people love it. It's fun. It's just like, I don't know, if I really want to dick off and play a game where I kill zombies, it's like, I Call of Duty Zombies and Left 4 Dead have been satisfying that itch for me for like 15 years at this point. So I'm good, but I'm glad this series exists. I've always appreciated and admired the spirit of it because it is ridiculous. And honestly, the idea of Frank West going to Hollywood and finding a guy who's trying to create the perfect movie is just an absolutely ridiculous, bonkers, funny scenario for a game like this. And I applaud that. So let's move on, guys. So that's the first story. Some good news. Now let's get to some not so good news. So, kind of. Splinter Cell, the Splinter Cell remake that it has been on and off in development for so long I keep forgetting it exists. Ubisoft has appointed a new game director for it, and it should be familiar to others because it's David Grivel, who was the game director on the remake back in 2021 and 22, but then he left Ubisoft to go work on a new project, and now he's coming back to Ubisoft to work on the Splinter Cell remake that's been in development for like 5 years, but hasn't been shown or revealed in any meaningful way. So again, this is cool because, this guy's got a lot of credit on Splinter Cell games and Assassin's Creed and Far Cry games, and he's a big name at Ubisoft, and he's contributed greatly to some awesome IP. So it's good, it's promising and encouraging to see him back on this project, but also this is like a game where it's like, I kind of don't believe it's happening, and I don't know, Splinter Cell has just been so mismanaged and just neglected for so long that I'm like, I kind of just don't believe it, but whatever. I hope this is something we see sooner rather than later. This would be a great Game Awards announcement, although I'm not expecting to see that at all. Let's be clear about that. I think the only thing keeping Splinter Cell fans going right now is that there was a Netflix show that came out, I want to say this year, and I guess it's well regarded, or it was seemingly well received to some extent. And so that is like all the Splinter Cell that has been put out into the world in the past 15 years or so. And hopefully we can get this remake at some point and see if there's a real appetite for Splinter Cell to come back as a video game series, because I don't know, man, this is another one of those like long-standing third-party games that is heavily associated with Xbox, and I think it would be a super big win. Honestly, I think what Xbox needs to do is get in bed with Ubisoft and be like, hey, we will help partially fund, you guys are hurting for money, we're hurting for cool games. Let's get together and help you fund a new Splinter Cell game, and we can make it a timed exclusive for Xbox. We can make it a 6-month Xbox Game Pass exclusive, and I think that would be a really cool thing because it would keep this old spirit of Xbox alive and going. It would give something for the Splinter Cell fans. It would give Xbox another cool game to brag about. It would give Game Pass another cool thing to brag about, and then it could, they could still have their cake and eat it too and put it on PlayStation because Xbox doesn't give a shit about Xbox anymore. So like, I think that is a great get all around. I feel like this has been such an obvious one for Xbox to try and approach Ubisoft with. I almost wonder if this is something where it's so obvious that it's like, well, you just don't know, because Microsoft has approached Ubisoft about something like this and it just hasn't worked out for whatever reason, because this is like, you want to talk about low hanging fruit. I feel like Xbox and Ubisoft working together on some Splinter Cell thing is like the lowest hanging fruit. I mean, that's like grandpa's balls, the things are dragging across the floor. It's so easy to pick up on. So I don't know, man. But anyway, here's hoping one day we do see Splinter Cell games, because that's a series that's pretty fucking cool. But hey, at least we're getting the 007 game next year. It looks really badass in the meantime. Not that they're really the same, but whatever. All right, let's move on to this one. I don't really know if or how I want to cover this. I just thought this was cool. I don't feel like we need to get into it too deeply. But Dan Houser, who is, former Rockstar writer, guy who like wrote the stories for Grand Theft Auto video games and Red Dead Redemption and all that, was, he's been making the rounds doing some various podcasts and interviews, and he has been asked lots of questions about AI, and I just really admire some of his takes and some of his quotes regarding AI in video game development. And so I just thought I'd read this here because it's cool to get not only, a quote from someone who helps create video games from a very creative standpoint, but also someone who is as storied and respected as Dan Houser is, because I feel like most times when we get the perspective about, or the opinion about like AI on video game development, it's usually from executives or publisher heads and things like that. But it's like, I want to hear from creators, like creative people. And, the guy who wrote games like GTA 5, I feel like that's kind of the person I want to hear from more about AI than Strauss Zelnick. No offense. So anyway, so here we go. Just a couple quotes on the show Virgin Radio. What is this? Interview with Chris, the Chris Evans Breakfast Show on Virgin Radio. Houser was speaking. Is that Chris Evans? Chris Evans? Who gives a shit? Houser was speaking on his EW book, A Better Paradise, Volume 1. What? Is he working on a book? Who cares? Blah, 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 blah. He's working on a book, tells a story about video game projects that go along with AI creative, blah, blah, blah. So Evans asked Dan Houser if he agrees with the arguments that AI is a combined harvester, gathering information, saying that it will never fully replace human creativity because it can't capture the human spirit. So Houser replies to the question and says that he agrees and adds that leaders in the drive to push generative AI to perform certain tasks aren't necessarily people most well-versed in those areas, saying, quote, some of these people trying to define the future of humanity, creativity, or whatever it is using AI are not the most humane or creative people, he explained. They're sort of saying, we're better at being human than you are, and it's obviously not true. One of the other things we're trying to capture is that humanity is being pulled in a direction by a certain group of people who aren't fully rounded humans. Evans then asks if this means that Houser doesn't believe in the current wave of AI, that it will end up being an enormous success such that people want the general public to believe in it. And he says, as far as I understand, I personally don't think it will be, because I think AI is eventually going to eat itself, because I understand it, which is really superficial understanding. The models scour the internet for information, but the internet is going to get more and more full of information made by those models. So it's sort of like we fed the cows with the cows and got mad cow disease. I can't see how the information gets better if they're already running out of data. It will do some tasks brilliantly, but it's not going to do every task brilliantly. And he's been on, end quote, he's been on other podcasts talking on and on about how, similar topics, like expanding upon these ideas. And I just thought it was interesting because he kind of says two things without getting super far into it, which I admire, which is, one, the easy thing just being like, hey, just to a large extent, the big executives that are trying to, buy politicians and push us into this future of like, nobody will have a job, nobody will have a future, AI will take over everything. These people are financially incentivized to be invested in this, and the way that they talk about AI and the way that they push AI and the way that they try to make people see AI is all marketing speak. It's because they're financially invested in this and they want you to buy in, they want you to believe, and they want you to accept this narrative because it is to their benefit. But at the end of the day, this is just marketing. And at the end of the day, AI is not, just because it's a very impressive quote unquote hat trick, although I think that's kind of underselling what AI is capable of. Just know that because the technology is impressive and it's a little intimidating for all of us who don't understand it fully, who don't create these kinds of things, just understand it is at the end of the day this technological creation that is limited by the information that we can feed it. And when I was listening to this news story today where they were talking about how apparently at this point, because these AI models feed so much on information on the internet, apparently one of the problems is that there is more content on the internet in the past few years that's been generated by AI models than actual content on the internet generated by humans in the entire history of the internet. And so this kind of speaks to that, where it's like you have this issue where AI is just being fed AI slop, and now it's just slop pulling off a slop to generate more slop for sloppy people. So it's like, yeah, can you use AI to cheat on your math test or your paper for a literature class? Can you use AI to ask, to get some research done relatively quickly? Yeah, sure. AI can be useful for a lot of things like that. But is AI going to replace the human element of game development? No, because there's an intangible that just can't be tapped by scouring the same redundant information on the internet and using it to replace the forward and innovative thinking that only humans are capable of. So I appreciate that perspective on it from a creative standpoint and from just the point of trying to quell fears. But I also want to point out these quotes because I think it's really important that he points out the thing that I'm a little more aggressively passionate about, which is just that the people who are peddling AI to us, the business, the billionaires and these companies, these are not regular people. Like, okay, let me try to say this without getting political. Let me try to say this without getting too off topic. But to be the kind of person who successfully runs a company, who is a CEO, who is someone who goes and lobbies for companies, who is a politician who does the kinds of things that these companies and these people do, you can't be a regular person, you know? And it's like for better and for worse. Okay, listen, you know, it's like they talk about how it's like why aren't any of the politicians ever like good people with good intentions? It's like because you got to be a certain kind of egotistical, self-centered, conceited asshole to be like, I am the solution to the world's problems. And so I think it's important to keep that information in hand, that when CEOs and investors and people are trying to assure the world that yes, AI is the future and it will replace all of the jobs and it will take us into a new future and be the foundation of a world we're building for tomorrow. Just understand that these people aren't thinking about protecting the cashier at the grocery store and the guy who does an IT, you know, the IT guy and just like, you know, the working class Americans, or I guess more broadly speaking, the working class people, the everyday people just trying to make an honest living and get by. They're not thinking about you and what's in your best interest and what the ramifications of this are. They're just thinking about the power and wealth that can be accumulated through this kind of control and this kind of this kind of technology that can be easily weaponized and dominated by the first one to kind of get to the finish line, so to speak. And that's why Microsoft is abandoning fun in pursuit of AI, is because they fucked up. They lost. Windows Phone lost to iPhone. They were late and they fucked up, and they don't want to do it again with AI because they think AI has bigger implications and higher potential than what iPhone did to the world. You know, they think that whoever can win this AI race is going to be the next god, so to speak. And you're talking about mentally unwell people who don't care about the well-being of society, who do not care about bettering the future. They care about wealth. They care about power. They care about control. They care about basically being gods. I mean, like, again, I'll say again, there's nothing wrong with being a financially successful person who buries themselves in their work and ends up trying, you know, creating a great life for themselves. I have nothing but love and respect for the people who work their asses off to become a small-time multi-millionaire. That's good for you, man. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. But there is a difference between the guy that has $10 million and the guy that has $1 billion, right? These are different people who do different things and are motivated and driven and geared towards just very different things in this world. And, these corporations that are just like, fuck the housing crisis, fuck the groceries and the affordability and the corrupt government and all the inhumane things going on in the world. You know what matters the most? AI. And you know what AI is going to do? It's going to replace all your jobs. And you know why that helps you? Don't ask about that. Anyway, AI is good, and all the water is gone, and your electric bill is tripling because we keep making AI nude images of Sabrina Carpenter for your pervy little mind to get off to. But don't you worry about that. This is a good thing for you, and we'll tell you why it's a good thing, but we're not there yet. Have you seen those funny Instagram reels where it says this is what a typical Ram buyer is like, and it shows a guy go to a dealership, and then the guy at the dealership calls him gay because he buys a Ram pickup truck? That is all the justification we need for AI. So let us keep doing our thing over here. You keep giggling on the internet over there, and everything will be fine, okay? And it's like, oh, okay. So I just think it's cool to see. Now we tie it back. Now we try to get reeled back in. I think it's cool to see someone like Dan Houser bring a little bit of perspective of how, one, AI is not as impressive as you might think, and two, the people peddling AI don't have the best intentions, and maybe we shouldn't be so trusting. Not that people are, but we should not be so willing to accept what they are forcing onto us as this golden step forward into the future, because it's not. And if we talk about it purely in the sense of game development, it's concerning, right? I just don't think that AI, and you got to be careful when you talk about it with gaming, because it's like, we're not talking about AI like when you're playing Halo and the computer controlled, bad guy in the campaign level is like dodging behind cover and shooting at you. We don't mean the enemy artificial intelligence that's designed by the developers of the game. We're talking about like AI advanced learning language models trying to fucking, take care of your wife while you go to work because you're too much of a cuck to be able to be the man that she needs you to be. And so you got Chat GPT telling her she's all that in a bag of chips while you fucking I don't know what I'm saying. Guys, Dan Hauser, more like Dan Hoser. Am I right? That's a Canadian joke for all of our northern listeners. Anyway, guys, let's move on to Control, which is a game by Remedy Entertainment. There we go. Found the word. All right, so a new trademark related to Control appeared to have been filed by Remedy Entertainment. Again, MP first spotted the trademark. It was filed last week, actually, and it was filed under the codename Control Resonant. Although the word control could be trademarked by a number of things, this particular trademark was filed under typical categories most video game-related trademarks are filed under, most notably the categories which include computer gaming software, numerous other forms of digital entertainment. It was also filed in Finland, where Remedy is based out of, and Nordea Attorneys at Law, a legal entity which has represented Remedy for previous trademark filings in the past, making it all but certain that Control Resonant is probably Remedy's title for, Control 2, or the sequel game to Control that they've been working on. Now, this could be something, again, we see announced at the Game Awards, possibly something to look forward to. Who knows? Maybe, I don't know, but definitely something to chew on, think about. I mean, we are. Wait, has it been? It's been 1 year. Alan Wake 2. Yeah, Alan Wake 2 was 2024. Was it 23? Hang on a second. My brain is not working. Alan Wake 2. Holy shit. Was Alan Wake 2 2023? No way. What's happening? Oh my god, Alan Wake 2 was 2023. All right, Alan Wake 2 is now 2 years old. We know that they've been working on multiple projects. We know that they're working on those Max Payne remakes. It's possible that we're ready to see Control 2 or Control Resonant, which I'm surprised it's not called Control Rezo Fall or Control what am I calling it? Demon Souls, or I don't fucking know. Whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to get into. We're just about due for a reveal for the next Control game, and this is probably what that is. FBC Firebreak did not light the world on fire. It was a side project, but I think it's time for them to really get into this next Control game, as well as these Max Payne remakes, because Remedy is probably not doing so hot right now with all these like underperformers and flops and stuff, and they need to probably get on to hyping up something that will maybe hopefully make some money for them. So I suspect this is probably time to start moving in that direction. But I look forward to that. I love Control. I'm ready for Control 2. I love Remedy. I'm always excited for the next game. I actually would rather them do something new and different. I don't love that they're doing this like controlled Alan Wake expanded universe, but I take it over no Remedy games any day. All right, let's talk about Embracer Group real quick, because they're kind of falling apart. So Neverwinter developer Cryptic Studios and Arc Games, publishers of Remnant from the Ashes, have been sold off by Embracer Group. The two companies have been acquired by Project Golden Arc, owned and led members of Arc Games management team in a $30 million deal funded by XD Inc. Arc Games, formerly known as Perfect World Entertainment and Gearbox Publishing San Francisco, is the new publisher behind live service games like Star Trek Online and Neverwinter, as well as Remnant from the Ashes and Remnant 2, Torchlight, Hyperlight Breaker, and the recently released Fellowship. Cryptic Studios is also is experienced in MMO development behind the City of Heroes, Neverwinter, and Star Trek Online. Embracer acquired the two companies in 2021, part of its acquisition spree it was on, but everything's falling apart and times are tough, so now they're offloading some shit to stay afloat. Shocker. Everything at Embracer is kind of just a fucking hot mess, and who could have seen that coming? So interesting to see that. Hopefully these companies do better spun off than under Embracer's ownership, and thoughts and best wishes go out to all the developers affected by these flippant trades and acquisitions and spin-offs and things like that, because these are people's lives and livelihoods we're dealing with, and I ain't no CEO. I just want the betterment of mankind, so I'm hoping for the best there. But guys, we're going to wrap up our news now with a small little update from the Xbox Wire. I told you it's an intermission week. It's the calm before the storm. But we have a Game Pass. We're in December, final month of the year. We got a Game Pass update for you guys. New games coming and going this month, the final month of 2025 for Game Pass. So let's talk about some games that are available as of now for Game Pass subscribers via Xbox Wire. So if you are an Ultimate subscriber, you got available today. Lost Records Bloom and Rage is available on Game Pass Ultimate, Premium, and PC. Monster Train 2 is available in Game Pass Premium after being only for Ultimate for a while, as well as Spray Paint Simulator and 33 Immortals, which is still in game preview. On December 4th, which is the day this podcast goes live, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle goes into Game Pass Premium now that the game's a year old, and so it's not just only for Ultimate members. Pretty good deal there. And then Routine goes into Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass. This is a day one Game Pass game, so cloud, console, PC, and they now say handheld. So that's out as of the time you're listening to this podcast. And then coming soon this month, on the 9th of December, you can look forward to a game about digging a hole coming to cloud, console, PC, and handheld. And then also Death Howl, a day one Game Pass game for Ultimate and PC Game Pass members. On December 9th, also lastly, there's Dome Keeper, which is a Game Pass Premium and Ultimate game. And then on December 10th, Mortal Kombat 1 comes to Game Pass Ultimate, Premium, and PC Game Pass. And then finally, on December 11th, Bratz Rhythm and Style, that's awesome, comes to Game Pass Ultimate, Premium, and PC. So a couple games to look forward to. Not a crazy good month. I think Mortal Kombat 1 is obviously a big one there. Whatever, Indiana Jones making it into Premium, that's cool. Not too much to talk about. However, with the games coming into the service, there are now games leaving the service. So to get Mortal Kombat 1, we're losing Mortal Kombat 11. We're losing Still Wakes the Deep, which I thought was a pretty good game, and Wild Frost. So those will all leave on December 15th on Cloud, Console, and PC. But on December 31st, at the final day of the year, Carry On and Hell Let Loose will both leave Game Pass. Carry On, I think that's the second time it's left Game Pass now. So give those a try before they're gone if you're interested. Otherwise, shut your fucking mouth. You had your chance. And guys, that is going to do it for all of the news this week. Told you, it's a slow news week. But I'm ready to talk to you guys about what I've been playing. I'm ready to get into some listener comments, so let's hop into that. Yeah, we'll just podcast right through. We don't need a break today, just because it is a slower, shorter podcast. So let's hop into the games I've been playing this week, because I've been playing a couple of games I'm pretty curious to hear from you guys about, interested and excited to talk about. But before I can tell you about what I've been playing, I first got to tell you about what it is I've been eating. I mean, hey, we just got past the biggest food holiday of the year, Thanksgiving, so we'll talk to you guys a little bit about that. So had some family over for Thanksgiving. First time I've ever really hosted a Thanksgiving. I've had a couple Thanksgivings where it's like a friend came over this time, or a friend came over that time. Like literally like one friend. I've never had a Thanksgiving where it's like I have done the cooking for a group of people. So it was cool. I had my dad, my stepmom, as well as my one of my sisters and her husband, my brother-in-law. They came over. So we had 4 people staying with us, cooking for 6 people. Pretty cool. And it was really fun because we kind of all agreed. My dad's on this like little fucking princess diet where he only eats meat. It's called the carnivore diet. It's silly as all hell, but it's what he's doing. So he can literally only eat meat and cheese and like stuff that will kill you. So I think that's weird. And then my sister's a vegetarian, and then on top of that, we all kind of agreed, like, we're not like really into like, like the holiday foods, like the turkey and the stuffing and the cranberry sauce. So we all agreed, like, let's just kind of do whatever the fuck we want to do. And I, as the one who volunteered to host, I said, fuck it, I would like to do tons of grilling. 2025 was the year I discovered my suburban dad love of grilling meat. And so I would love to cater to my dad's princess diet by grilling a bunch of meat for him. And then we can make, good fixings and sides like Brussels sprouts and mac and cheese and mashed potatoes and asparagus and whatever. So we just put together a whole mess of shit. My girlfriend basically handled a lot of the vegetables and the side dishes. I did all the meats. And then my sister, she made some dishes as well. So it was cool. We just had a bunch of us cooking together, making a bunch of shit. And it was awesome. I did a prime rib, which I did the same way I do every Thanksgiving. I always do prime rib in the oven. So this is the 3rd or 4th year I've now done prime rib, I think. 21, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't remember what. 2021 was the first year I did it because I remember Call of Duty Vanguard had just come out. I don't remember making prime rib 5 times, so this doesn't make sense though. Oh, you know what? Last year we didn't do prime rib. Last year we just did like rib eyes or something. So I've done the prime rib like 3 or 4 times, whatever. But anyway, I used the same recipe I always use. Turned out perfectly. I did that one in the oven, so salted it the night before, let it dry out, seasoned it good, rubbed it with some Dijon mustard and some fucking, the thyme, the oregano, the salt, the pepper, the garlic all over it, put it on a bed of aromatics, roasted it for a couple hours and everything. It was really good. Prime rib turned out as good as always. But the fun part is, on the grill, I then did beef ribs, pork ribs, and a roasted chicken all on the grill. And then, so that was the other challenge, was we're going to have 4 proteins to choose from. No turkey, just beef ribs, pork ribs, chicken, and prime rib. And so I thought that was going to be awesome. I got rushed a lot towards the end of my cooking, and the chicken ended up getting prepped but not cooked. So we ended up eating beef ribs, pork ribs, and prime rib, which I was a little salty about because I was very excited to do my first smoked chicken on the grill, on the kettle grill, charcoal grill. But that did not end up happening. But everything turned out pretty good. My girlfriend made that Teeny's mac and cheese that's like all over the internet, and that shit's so good. We got Brussels sprouts and asparagus and cornbread and fucking all the things, and it was a really good meal. I had a good time. I did some corn on the grill and things like that. So it was awesome. I really had a good time doing that. But then a few days later, when my family went home, I was like, well, I still got this fucking chicken. It's seasoned. It's ready to go. It's in the fridge. Let's throw that thing on the grill. So I was like, it's December. I know it's Florida and the weather's nice, but we're at the end of grilling season, really. I mean, grilling season's ended throughout most of the country, but let's just say this is going to be the last grill experience of the year for us. And so on, a couple days after Thanksgiving, I took that chicken out. I roasted it. I did, it was fucking awesome. It turned out so good. I had no idea how it would turn out. It was like a rotisserie chicken from Costco times 2. It was so good, so juicy. The leg meat just fucking falling off the bone. Just that thing's so good. So we did that, and I was like, wow, I just grilled, all day on Thanksgiving, and then like 2 days after Thanksgiving, I'm grilling. I'm like, now it's time to be done with grilling, probably until 2026. And then the next day, I realized we had a bunch of pork chops and chicken thighs, and I was like, it's my week to cook dinner. You know what I'll do? I'll just pull out the grill and cook all these pork chops and all these chicken thighs so we can just like eat rice and veggies and grilled meats throughout the week, and then I only have to cook like once or twice, So the other day, I then cooked up a bunch of fucking chicken thighs and pork chops. I did the pork chops like Vietnamese style. There's this popular Vietnamese dish called, I always butcher it because I can't speak Vietnamese, called gam tam, which is like it's like a lemongrass fish sauce, like marinated garlic soy pork chop, and you serve it with like this broken rice and like different vegetables and a fried egg. It's awesome. It's one of my favorite Vietnamese dishes. It's just really, really, really simple and delicious. So I marinated the pork that way, and then I did it on the charcoal grill. So you get that char, that smokiness with that kind of like fish sauce, soy, garlicky flavor, with lemongrassy flavor, and it was fucking awesome. And then I just did like a typical barbecue rub on all the chicken thighs and cooked those things, and those were, dude, the charcoal grill is the absolute biggest cheat code to delicious food. It's ridiculous. It's like stuff I would put in the oven, stuff I would cook on the pan. Just it tastes so much better when you cook it on the grill, and it's better for your bills because you don't have to use your energy. You're outside playing with a fire. You're not putting on your oven with it costing your electric bill a bunch. And then on top of that, it's fun. Like I love to cook. I love to cook on the stovetop. I love to use the oven. I love to be in my kitchen chopping and cooking and doing all the things. But man, like grilling is a different type of fun. It's like cooking dinner in the kitchen, like prepping the vegetables and getting the saute, creating a pan sauce and roasting a chicken in the oven. That's like playing Forza Motorsport. It's like, oh, this is simulating what it would be like to drive a Bugatti here because it's so realistic. I'm on this track. I'm in a real world destination. I'm doing the thing. But then throwing hunks of meat on a fire grill and just flipping it while you sit outside, enjoy nice weather and sip on a beer is like Forza Horizon. It's like, okay, this is the fake version. This is the arcade version. Yeah, the locations are loosely based on real places and the cars are real cars, but it's kind of more arcadey feel. It's open world. You fuck around. It's not like really the real deal, but it's a lot more fun to just pick up and play. That's the charcoal grill, man. You're just throwing shit on a grate with flames underneath it, and there's smoke blowing in your face, and you're just having a good time. The weather's nice because you live in Florida and it's 70 degrees in our December, and you're fucking covered in snow over there in Michigan, and I'm having a good time and you're having a bad time, and this is called Forza Horizon. And that's basically what grilling is like for me. So I just fucking love it. I went, let's grill one more time. It's Thanksgiving. Let's grill one more time. I forgot to grill this chicken during Thanksgiving. Let's grill one more time. We got all this shit in the freezer and I want to get it on the grill. And dude, it's fucking awesome. That's what I've been eating all week. I've just been eating grilled food from the charcoal grill, the Weber kettle, the classic Weber kettle. You get yourself a $100 Weber kettle. Fuck the pellet smoker. Fuck the gas grill. Fuck the $500 grills and all the bells and whistles that these little cowboys love to talk about on YouTube. Just get yourself a $100 Weber kettle, a bag of fucking Kingstone classic charcoal, and you're good, dude. You're fucking good. Throw any meat on that bitch, season it any way you want, hit it with a little oil, salt, garlic, pepper, whatever. Simple shit, dude. You're just going to have amazing food every time. I don't understand what's wrong. I can fuck up these recipes on the grill and they still taste pretty fucking great. It's awesome. It's my favorite toy of the year. Really, really love it. So that's it for what I've been eating. And now we can talk about what I've been playing. So when I'm not walking around like a fucking smoky charcoal ridden piece of shit, I've been playing some video games. So it's really weird. I'm loving Black Ops 7. I'm playing Black Ops 7, but like I told you guys, I downloaded Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom because I pre-ordered Metroid Prime 4, but I did the Nintendo voucher thing. And I used one voucher for Metroid, and I used the other voucher impulsively to be like, let me try Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I told you last week, I played a couple hours, and so far, I think I kind of like it more than Breath of the Wild. I don't know, I'm having a good time. I will tell you now, I'm probably 7 hours into the game, 8 hours into the game. I like The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom a lot more than Breath of the Wild, which I'm finding weird and hypocritical because The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a lot more just a sequel to Breath of the Wild, like more Breath of the Wild, than it is something evolutionary and totally different. Now, don't get me wrong, these building mechanics, these new puzzle mechanics, a lot of the game is different and it adds a different flair to it. I think while I like that stuff a lot and while it does make the game a lot more exciting and interesting than Breath of the Wild was, I think the other thing I like about this game a lot is it reminds me of my favorite Zelda game, which is Skyward Sword from the Nintendo Wii, because this is one of those rare Zelda games where it feels very narrative driven from the start, and so far, 8 hours in, throughout the game. Like, it is continuously narrative driven. And Zelda games are usually pretty hit or miss about that stuff, especially Breath of the Wild. I thought one of my biggest gripes with Breath of the Wild is that game is very, very, very afterthought with its narrative, where the game starts up and it's just like, Link, wake up, you stupid bitch. And then you're just playing Far Cry Zelda for like 40 fucking hours. Then you go into the desert area and this Goron's like, I'm a stupid piece of shit rock. And then you go to the water area and this girl's like, I'm a mermaid girl and you want to fuck me. And then you go to like the other place in the mountain and this guy's like, I'm a bird, help me fly. And then you go into the middle of the map and you go into the castle and Ganon's like, I'm a fucking beast cloud monster thing, fight me. And then the credits roll, Zelda cries, and the voice acting is horrible. It's like story 2 out of 10, voice acting's horrible, story is minimal, incomprehensible, anime is all hell, stupid fucking game. But then you play Tears of the Kingdom, and it's like switch flip immediately. It's like the game starts out, cutscene. Link and Zelda are underneath Hyrule Castle. They're exploring this dungeon. They find these mysterious artifacts and ancient writings on the wall. And then this thing happens. You come across this creature and he traps Zelda and he curses Link and you lose your arm. It gets replaced by this thing. It's like, holy shit, what's going on here? Then you wake up on like this cloud kingdom and you do this thing and you meet these guys and this like spirit is guiding you through this thing. And you're like, oh my God, this is cool. I wonder how this plays into things. He's like, I'm going to take you to Princess Zelda. And you're like, okay, I'm going to get some explanation. Let's go here. Let's do this thing so we can go to this dungeon. And the game is like constantly, it's like, it's Zelda. It lets you explore, it lets you solve puzzles, it lets you get lost, it lets you have your adventure, but it's all constantly tied together through a cohesive, linear narrative that is written better than Breath of the Wild, acted better than Breath of the Wild, and it just presented way better than Breath of the Wild. And it reminds me of Skyward Sword, which is my favorite Zelda because that is the most narrative-driven Zelda game. I like that game because I really love how it explores very deeply like this love between Link and Zelda, where there's like really not any implication of like romantic love. It feels very much like childhood friends, and I love that. And it just, I think it's cool how this game kind of does a similar thing where it's like, let's tell a story using our characters in the setting of The Legend of Zelda, as opposed to Breath of the Wild, which is like, let's throw some anime cutscenes in the middle of an open world adventure that has no coherency, no meaning, and let people explore and get lost. And then IGN will give us a 10 out of 10 because they're fucking cucks to Japanese content in Nintendo. So I just think that between story and the new building / puzzle mechanics that this game introduces that are very fun, very creative, and very exciting to explore and use, I think this game is a big step up from Breath of the Wild. Is it my favorite Zelda game? So far, no. But I am enjoying it way more than I thought I would. I think also just after like 3-4 months of playing so much Battlefield 6, so much Battlefield 2042, so much Black Ops 7, all these first-person shooters, I think there's something about sitting on the couch with Christmas music on the background, fucking curled up, and I got my Switch, and I'm just playing Zelda, and it's got beautiful, cozy, atmospheric music, and it's just a cozy game to explore and play around in. I'm like, this is like one of those perfect game, perfect timing situations. I'm really digging Tears of the Kingdom. I don't know, I gotta say. So, who knows how that will change. I remember liking Breath of the Wild a fair bit, like the first 20 hours I put into the game. And then by the time I rolled credits about 50 hours into the game, I remember being like, that was good. I just don't know that that's what I want out of a Zelda game. So who knows? I could feel the same way with Tears of the Kingdom. And the tricky part is I don't know how it's going to go because this is not a good time for me to have started Tears of the Kingdom, because I was just kind of dicking around with it as a holdover for Metroid Prime 4 to come out. And my real, I have a game plan in place for what I want to play this December and this holiday season. And it is Metroid Prime 4. And then I want to play Spider-Man 2 on Steam. And then I want to play Outer Worlds 2 whenever the Xbox New Year's sale goes on, that countdown sale they do every year. I want to play Outer Worlds 2, maybe Ninja Gaiden 4. So like Zelda was not in the cards. It was not on the table. But that I ended up playing it, and now I'm like, fuck, maybe I'll play Metroid Prime 4 and then come back to this. I don't know. I'm really feeling this game, if I'm being honest. And then here's what fucked it up further. I'm not a Black Friday guy. I usually don't participate in all, especially now. It's like, it's not fun to go out for Black Friday anymore. It's all just online shit. But I came across, Wario64 online. He was like, yo, right now you can get a $200 Nintendo gift card for $160. I'm like, okay, $40 off a $200 gift card for Nintendo, plus you can use it for those redemption vouchers. That means you can go buy a bunch of first-party Nintendo games, $60, $70 games for like $30-$40 each. I'm like, all right, this is kind of a stupid fucking deal. I gotta take advantage of it. So I got that because there's still a bunch of backlog Nintendo Switch games I want to get, like Luigi's Mansion 3 and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 and things like that. I actually kind of wish that new Kirby Riders game was on the voucher list because I kind of want to try that. But anyway, so I bit the bullet and I bought that. But the problem is now my Switch is backlogged with like Pikmin 3, Luigi's Mansion 3, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, lots of threes, really. Tears of the Kingdom now, which I'm in, which I was like only maybe going to play, but now I'm like, I like it. I want to play it. And it's a good problem to have. Like, I love Xbox. Xbox is where I play games about 85% of the time. But it's like this year, dude, like I fell back in love with Nintendo. I love the Switch 2. It's like everything that I had against the Switch 1. Not everything, but like a lot of what I didn't like about Switch 1 has been addressed with Switch 2. I like Switch 2 a lot. I'm playing a lot of PC because of Battlefield and all this stuff. I feel bad, I feel like Xbox is getting kicked into the corner a little bit this year. And then on top of it all, I downgraded my Game Pass subscription. I don't want my baby girl Xbox to think I don't love her no more. Like, I spent some good time 2 weeks playing Black Ops 7 with you. I hope you didn't take it personal that I left you to go to Zelda, but it is what it is. And here's what's going to make it worse is the second game I've been playing this week, and God, way to really bury the lead here. The second game I've been playing this week, Marvel Cosmic Invasion, I bought it on Switch and not on Xbox. And that's because Switch has a way better gaming D-pad for 2D brawler games. And so I was like, I'm going to play it on Nintendo Switch. It's a better D-pad for these kinds of games. So I'm playing it over there. I'm in like the last 2 missions of the story mode, which isn't long. It's probably like a 4 or 5 hour story mode. So I'm in the last 2 missions of this game. And then, there's arcade mode and other stuff I want to get into. But I am loving this game. Now, so this game is made by, God, what are they called? Same people that made Shredder's Revenge, the Ninja Turtle game. Let me just pull it up real quick because my Tribute. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Published by Dotemu and developed by Tribute. So yeah, they're known for, I guess they're actually making that the new Scott Pilgrim, side-scrolling beat 'em up game that comes out next year. But they're most known for, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which came out 2 or 3 years ago. And I think, aren't they working on another one that, I don't know. But anyway, I loved that game a lot. I thought TMNT Shredder's Revenge was a super fucking fun game, and I love Marvel. So taking that like 90s arcade 16-bit aesthetic and doing a Marvel brawler game in the vein of like Shredder's Revenge, I was like, this is going to be fucking sick. I cannot wait for this game. Throughout the year, they've been doing character reveals and things like that, and it's just gotten me hyped up. In fact, this past week, I've been reading the Marvel Comics series, the 6-part comic series that is loosely inspired the story of this game, very, very loosely. And I've just been like really, really excited for this game. So I've been very, very much looking forward to it. Pre-ordered it, got it ready to go, looking, eager for Monday night to sit down and play it. And this game is like totally living up to the hype so far. I don't even know really how I want to get into it, but basically I'll say it like this. So it's your traditional beat 'em up game. However, the main thing with this, like the main mechanic, you can play with other friends, but by default, each player actually plays as 2 characters. So you pick 2 characters. Let's say, for example, you pick like Spider-Man and Wolverine, right? I'm going to pick some generic ones because I love Spider-Man and Wolverine. So that's the first character pairing I pick. So you're playing as Wolverine, right? And you're hacking, you're slashing. But then if you press the left button on the shoulder button, you switch over to Spider-Man. And then you can play as Spider-Man. They each have their own special ability meters and their own health bars and everything. It's kind of like, games in the early 2000s where you'd play like Shrek or Sonic Heroes and you can just flip between characters on the fly, right? But in this game, you can then kind of chain the 2 characters together where you can start a combo as Wolverine, like hacking and slashing a guy, and then while you're chaining your combo, click the switch button on your characters, and then Spider-Man will swing in and start punching them and shooting webs at them, and then you can continue your combo by chaining the combo that Wolverine started and transferring it into Spider-Man, and then you can then switch back and continue the combo as Wolverine again. So it's fucking awesome. You can just switch between these 2, and once you master, because every character has a basic attack, a technical attack, a charge attack, and then a special attack when your meter fills up, and you can like chain all these things together across 2 characters at any given time, and it's really, really fucking cool. And I've been trying to play the game. Each level throughout the game's story kind of encourages you to play as 2, like it will tell you each level, like in this level play as these 2 characters, in this level play as these 2 characters. You can play as whoever you want in every level, but I've been trying to follow that recommendation so that I can give a chance to every character. And it's really cool how, there's 15 characters in this game, and they mostly all feel pretty different from one another, which I really appreciate. So that's awesome. And then there's like this light leveling system where every character can go up to level 10 just to kind of like upgrade their attacks and their defense and their health a little bit, but not too involved. What I really love about this game, aside from it just being visually so stunning, the art is so beautiful, the environments and levels are so cool. It also has story with voice acting, and they have like characters from the animated shows like reprising their roles and things like that, and it's just fucking sick. And so it's got story content, all the villains, all the characters are voiced, and there's like this whole, it's very simple. It's like this not to get too much into it. What's his fucking name? I only know this villain Annihilus from this game and from the comic series I just read. So he's a new one to me, but he's fucking invading the cosmos, and you have to like fight all these various villains and anti-heroes and kind of like get them on your side to take him down. And every level is like, this level is Captain America and Black Panther, this level is Venom and Spider-Man, this level is Storm and Wolverine, and it's super cool. So I'm enjoying the hell out of the music, the lights, the sounds. Oh, the music in this game is done by T-Loops. So is it T-Lopes? It's T-Lopes, not Loops, but T-Lopes. So you know that's going to be good too. So it's banging music, incredible visuals, voice acting, story content, fun characters that all feel different and varied. There's flying characters, there's like tank characters, there's like quick attack characters, Rocket Raccoon's just throwing grenades and blasting people everywhere. Honestly, Storm is probably the most Storm is probably the best, and then I like Wolverine a lot. Those are probably the best 2 characters in my opinion. But I am just loving this game and having a blast with it. I'm going to wrap up the next couple levels here before Metroid Prime 4 comes out, and then I'm going to hop into that. But yeah, Marvel Cosmic Invasion, I think it's on like an introductory sale price of like $26 or $7, but it's $30 roughly. And it's fucking worth it. It's such a good game. So I highly recommend Marvel Cosmic Invasion. And yeah, man, if you like beat 'em ups, if you play games like Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge, then this game is an absolute must play for you. So I just highly recommend it. But that is it really for what I've been playing, you guys. I actually am going to take a quick break before we get into the comments. I just need to drink some water or something. But I'll be right back, and yeah, let's get into that. Hey, you got something you want to say to the Xbox On podcast? You can do so by going over to youtube.com/Xbox On podcast, clicking on the latest episode of the show, and leaving a comment. You can say things like, "You are gay," or "Hey, kill yourself, gay person," or "Hey, I hope you save some gay for the rest of us." Nah, just kidding. You're too gay for that. And then I will read it on the podcast, and maybe I'll feel insecure about myself, or maybe I'll call you a homophobe. I don't know. But leave a comment. Also, do you have podcast services like iTunes and Spotify? Great. Leave me 5 stars. Thinking of leaving me fewer than 5 stars? Don't rate the show. In fact, go run away, very far away from technology, so that you can resist any and all urges to leave me 1 to 4 stars. That would hurt my feelings. I only want your stars if it's 5 of them. Thank you so much. Let's go on to the comments. All right, guys, we have 4 comments to get through today. I like how I say to get through as if it's like a chore. But our first one comes from Mr. Parksy1972, who says, "Well, Jesse, I'd just like to say happy Thanksgiving to all of you listeners in the United States, and to the rest of the world, happy Thursday, I guess." Thanks, bud. I think if you've decided to leave Xbox and do a Steam podcast about Gabe's Steaming Shitbox podcast, one host about one console, PC the Shitbox, $600 to $800 estimate. For a PC that's on par with 5-year-old hardware when the Xbox and PS5 are already outdated hardware. I just can't see who this is for. The 5 that bought the Steam Deck, the 5 million that bought the Steam Deck, I would imagine most of the audience either bought the Steam Deck to play their Steam library on the go and already have a beefy PC already, or they got one as a secondary device. Definitely not an Xbox killer, and not even a blip on PS5 sales. Much love from the UK. Well, I'll agree with you on one part there. Not even a blip on PS5 sales, for sure, brother. And thank you for writing in. I appreciate you, man. Hope you had a wonderful Thursday last week. Agree to disagree. See, part of me wants to be like, no, this is going to be bigger than the Steam Deck, but I think you bring up a good point, which is that handhelds do tend to be... So this is a weird one, and I thought about this myself, but your comment really is making me think about it a little deeper, because when I think about handhelds as someone who grew up in the late 90s and early 2000s, I think about the Game Boy Advance, the DS, now, of course, the Nintendo Switch. And it's like, in Nintendo's history, the handheld always outsells the home console. The Game Boy sold more than the SNES and the N64. The Game Boy Advance outsold the GameCube. The DS outsold the Wii. The 3DS outsold the Wii U. The Switch is the best-selling Nintendo home console of all time. It's no coincidence that it's the one that just so happens to be a handheld hybrid console. So I'm like, handhelds usually do better than consoles, so maybe the Steam machine won't outperform the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck is only 5 million units, so yeah, I guess it's not going to be that big of a threat. But then in the realm of these PC tablet hybrid things like the ROG Ally X and the fucking this version, the Logitech G Cloud and the Asus G Monster and the Legion Go Pro and all the fucking stupid things that look like a Switch but aren't a Switch, the PlayStation Portal, these things are all supplemental niche devices that don't take precedent over or replace the PC or console in which they supplement. So the ROG Ally, the Logitech G Cloud, the PlayStation Portal, the Lenovo Legion, these are niche devices that have sold hundreds of thousands or low millions of units. And so I'm like, it's kind of a hard thing to say. So then I guess what the question is, what would the dynamic of a Steam Deck and Steam Machine be? Would it be more akin to a Nintendo platform like a GameCube and Game Boy Advance or a Wii and DS, where the handheld drastically outsells the home console? Or would it be more akin to like an Xbox and ROG Ally X, where the Xbox is the bigger seller and the ROG Ally X is like this niche additive premium accessory for those who want it in addition? And I know they're not the same thing, because the Game Boy Advance is a dedicated gaming platform that plays its own games, and the GameCube is a separate dedicated gaming device that plays its own games that were just happening at a concurrent time and played different video games, right? All from Nintendo. Whereas the Steam Deck plays the same games that the Steam Machine plays, which plays the same games as your PC. The Lenovo Legion Go and the fucking ROG X-Boy and all that, they just play the same games your Xbox plays. It plays the same games your PC plays. And so it's different. I think there's a different expectation and a different reception to handheld devices that are extensions of your PC and console library, as opposed to some separate thing. And then Switch is, of course, its own beast all on its own, because Nintendo's console and its handheld are both the same fucking device. It's a hybrid device, and it's the only device you can get if you want to play Nintendo games. And so I feel like you kind of got to ignore the Nintendo data. But then, I mean, you can even look at PlayStation a little bit. Like, the PSP sold incredibly well, but not nearly as good as the PS2, and the PlayStation Vita sold like doggy poo-poo, but the PlayStation 3 sold, way better than it. So it's like, I don't know what to make of it, but I think it's weird, because it feels like if the Steam Machine and the Steam Deck follow the logic of like the Xbox and the Lenovo Go and the Steam Deck and the PlayStation Portal and all that stuff, it seems like the Steam Deck has more potential to be a more like a mass appeal device, because it could be like a primary place to play games for a lot of people who like the allure and the library and the ease and the affordability of a platform like Steam, but prefer the experience of home consoles. Whereas the Steam Deck would be like a supplemental experience to that. However, if it follows the Nintendo tracking, then it would just be, so it's just, I don't know. I'm just rambling in circles, but I think there's something to that where I can't help but think it's like, which one would be, in an isolated condition, which one would be the bigger of the two? If both these things launched at the same time, which one would more people gravitate towards, the Steam Deck or the Steam Machine? And I feel like you're kind of right. Maybe it is the Steam Deck. Maybe it's the handheld. Because a lot of people who engage with Steam as a platform primarily play through their PC, and the Steam Deck seems like more of a supplemental experience to your PC than the Steam Machine does, because the Steam Machine seems like it aims to replace your desktop PC experience with a home console experience, but the Steam Deck seems like it sets out to complement your PC or home console experience as opposed to replacing it. So does that make sense? One supplements and one replaces. And so I think maybe I'm convincing myself that's why the Steam Deck is the bigger, or the Steam Machine is the bigger deal, is because the Steam Machine is supposed to replace the desktop gaming PC with a, desktop home console hybrid thing, or a home console like type device like the Steam Machine, and then you can get the Steam Deck as an additive thing. I'm really stumped on this one. But I think in theory the idea is that the Steam Machine would be the bigger one, but then also, the Steam Deck is just cheaper, and cheaper things sell better. I mean, why did the DS outsell the Wii? Cheaper. Why did the Game Boy Advance outsell the GameCube? Cheaper, right? I guess. Dude, you got me. Don't make my brain think too much about things, because I can't commit to thoughts and ideas. I just get confused, overwhelmed, and chicken shit about committing to a stance on anything. So thank you for writing in, Parksy. Definitely a great question. Cronky says, I'm so tired of the negativity around gaming. I'm going to be positive. I'm having fun playing games. While the baby's sleeping during my shifts, with him, I have been relegated to playing Xbox and PlayStation on the couch. I've been replaying Ratchet & Clank and having a blast. Old games are the best. and you got 5 upvotes. People were like, whoa, positivity is so cool, Cronky. Here's a thumbs up. So I appreciate it. I'm sorry if I'm too negative, man. I really don't mean to be. But I know there's some times where I hit stop recording and I'm like, I don't like how negative that episode was. Oh well, But dude, I'm with you. Things are good, man. I'm loving Tears of the Kingdom. I'm loving Cosmic Invasion. I'm loving Black Ops 7. I know the internet said you're not allowed to love Black Ops 7. Guess what? I love Black Ops 7, Daddy, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. I'm going to run into Black Ops 7's truck. Oh, I wanted to let you guys know, in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I tamed my first horse. And what did I name my first horse? Black Ops 7. So, yeah, dude, games are sick. Games are fun to play. There's nothing more fun than ignoring your responsibilities as an adult and playing a good old video game to blow off some steam and catch some relaxation. I'm totally there with you, Cronky, and I appreciate the reality check. Hope you and the baby are doing well. The wife? Not so much. No, I'm just kidding. But I hope you're all doing well. All right, Mr. Cargo Runner UK writes in. Guys, we can't have a week where we got 50% of the comments being from the UK. Come on, man. We can't represent the Redcoats like that. All right. He writes in and says, if the next Xbox is only a really expensive premium device, do you think Xbox will drop the need for developers to support the Series S? Let me just stop right there. On first blush, yeah, immediately no, because I think, well, hang on, let's stop. We are past this like generations thing now. Xbox One is still getting supported past the halfway point of the Xbox Series X generation, because we're at this point now where consoles are just powerful enough and games aren't pushing technical boundaries enough to a point where we've reached where we need to reach for like 99% of things. And so I think the Xbox Series S is going to continue to be very, very heavily and widely supported by 99% of games that come to Xbox as a platform in a world where the next Xbox console exists. I think even if they can support the Xbox One, they'll continue to do it for as long as it makes sense to do it. So I don't think the hardware limitations of the Series S are going to be a big thing that harm that console even into the next generation for at least for too long. However, do I think Xbox will allow for them to make games in the next generation that don't run on the Series S but do run on the Series X? Probably not. I think they need to stay consistent. I think the Xbox Series generation is an all or nothing kind of thing. And so you either support both the Series S and X, or you just put your game on the modern hardware and forget about that generation altogether. And I think they have to keep consistent with that in order to validate those purchases and keep that platform all steady. I don't know. Maybe they just fucking give up and they say, nah, fuck it, we don't care. Once we're into the Xbox Series 9 generation or whatever. It's possible, but I don't have too much of a thought about it beyond that, to be honest. You say, in 2027 and later, AAA developers might not want to support the Series S, so those AAA games may be PS5, PS6, and hybrid only. And the Series S and X owner who can't afford to buy a premium, $1,200 machine would be forced to get a PS5 or a cheap PC. I wonder if Xbox will allow devs to make Series X games only, or so that people can stay on their Series X, or will they be okay with no Series version of the game and just tell Series owners to use cloud gaming to play the hybrid version? By having an entry-level device on one generation and only a premium device the next generation, they seem to have created a really tough upgrade path. I think that's a very interesting point to make. But I think your question overthinks it a little bit, because I think the mass majority of games that will come out during the Xbox Series, whatever next generation is, are going to just inherently be easy to develop for on even the Series S, because I think we're at that point where even though the hardware is more powerful, the next Call of Duty is just going to be more Call of Duty. The next Elder Scrolls game is just going to be, or not Elder Scrolls, the next fucking Dragonborn game, From Software game, is just going to be another fucking hack and slash dodge roll mechanic game. And 99% of the games we play are just going to be the next version of the game we've been playing forever. Now, Grand Theft Auto 6, Grand Theft Auto 7, that kind of game, Red Dead Redemption 3, something like that, I don't know. But I think the idea is going to be you support the Series S alongside the Series X. Doesn't matter if there's a new generation or not. I think that is going to probably be the path forward. And I think it is not going to be a problem for 99% of games. I think people vastly overestimate how much of an issue the Series S is because of one or two loud examples where games media and a fussy developer have said a thing or two. But yeah, I really just don't see this as that much of an issue. I mean, I think about like the, what was it? The Baldur's Gate 3 one. That seemed like there was a real issue there, but that's like kind of the one and only example, because the other big example that there's been was the Gotham Knights one, which is like, that one is so fucking goofy, dude. I played Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights not running well on Series S. I'm going to tell you, as someone who doesn't make video games, I feel very confident in saying that was optimization. That was not the Series S. I mean, are you fucking kidding me, dude? You can look at Gotham Knights, which is a game I liked a fair bit. I played it, I beat it, I liked it. It looks like dog shit compared to Batman Arkham Knight, which came out, like what, 6 or 7 years before that game. I mean, come on, you cannot tell me Arkham Knights was the game to break the Series S. That's an optimization thing. That's a game developer problem. That is not a hardware problem. I refuse to believe that was the Series S being incapable and not just WB Montreal kind of sucking at figuring out how to work around that console's limitations. I'm sorry, but I truly feel that way. That being said, I don't know, man. 99% of people, when the next Xbox comes out, next Xbox can come out and be $1,500 fucking dollars and have all the bells and whistles, and Sarah Bond can talk about all of her fucking teraflops and RAM bits and all that shit that she wants. But at the end of the day, it's just gonna be the next fucking Fortnite machine for 99% of people who have it. So are they really gonna have to halt the existence of the Series S to accommodate to that market? No, they're really fucking not. I think the bigger deal has less to do with whether or not the Series S will be able to keep up with the games and more to do with how long the install base on the Series S and X will warrant and justify the process and the cost of putting games on those consoles. I think that will be the thing, the factor and the resource that gets outstripped before the hardware limitation of the Series S. And I think that's what we need to look at first. And the reason why I feel so confident saying that is because just look at the 920p 2013 Xbox One that is still widely supported in 2025. They're putting fucking Star Wars Jedi Survivor and all these damn ass little free-to-play games all over that machine because these motherfuckers keep buying it. You can still play Black Ops 7 on the Xbox One, for Christ's sake. It's not a problem. It's not the hardware. It's about the install base before it's about the hardware. We're just so far past the leap from Xbox to Xbox 360, the leap from Super Nintendo to N64. We are not in that world anymore where 99% of games are like, oh yeah, you need the next gen hardware to support this game. We're just not there anymore. Like, does Grand Theft Auto 6 make sense being a PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X exclusive? Yeah. But most games aren't Grand Theft Auto 6. And I just don't think we have to worry about 99% of this issue at all. So that's really my take on it. But Cargo Runner, I think this is an excellent question. I appreciate you writing in. Very, very thoughtful for sure. Mr. Maug writes in with the final inquiry, final question, final comment, and says, it's a comment. He says, "Howdy, Jesse. I don't know if my comment about SSRIs made it. Probably because I made too many comments, LOL. But it sounds like you're talking about the other week when I was like having withdrawals from my medicine and I thought I was sick. You said, probably because I made too many comments, but it sounds like you're experiencing the side effects of missing doses. Every time I hear you say I'm tired, I just think of when I miss my dose of Prozac and I feel like shit for days. Also, I'm no doctor, but it sounds like your anxiety might be caused by OCD like mine was. Appreciate you talking about mental health." Yeah, man, well, first of all, there's like audience. Listen, first of all, Xbox One has like no audience, so it's not like a brave thing or anything to stand up and be like, yeah, I deal with mental health. But also, if you listen to Xbox On, there's like a 2,000% chance that you suffer from some kind of mental health condition because what the fuck is wrong with you? But no, dude, first of all, you were right, 100%. Part of why I stopped taking my medicine or tried to quit it cold turkey was because I was like, the last time I talked to my psychiatrist, he was like, maybe the reason why the Lexapro isn't working for you so well is because your anxiety is probably triggering more from OCD and less from like, I don't know, whatever other means. And I was like, okay. And he's like, you want to try some OCD medication alongside your antidepressant medication? I'm like, why would I mix two medications? When I switch from one to the other to see which one's working, it's like, oh, but you might want to combine them. I'm like, I don't want to fucking combine them. So I just stopped taking my regular Lexapro that I was taking to try and see if I even noticed a difference. And my stupid brain took like over a week to realize that the withdrawal was making me sick. And then you're right. That's exactly what it was. It was just withdrawal from the dosage because I didn't properly wean myself off. So I've been slowly weaning myself off the past week. And I talked to my psychiatrist like the other day, and he was actually saying, he recommended the same thing. He's like, we need to get you on like an OCD based anxiety medicine because that's probably what'll help you out. But dude, he's like talking about the side effects of this shit, and he's like, oh yeah, the side effects are like nausea, diarrhea, and like I'm like, I don't fucking want these. He's like, you're gonna have to eat a big breakfast every day. I'm like, I drink a cup of coffee in the morning, and that is it. He's like, well, time to start eating a big breakfast. I'm like, are you just telling me to like get fat to try and curb my anxiety or something? Like what anyway, but we're switching medications. It's all good. So I'm looking forward to trying that and seeing what it does for me. But yeah, I think, whatever. It's not like a brave thing or anything, but I think whatever. I'm a super progressive, left-leaning fucking modern kid who is all pro women's rights and normalizing mental health and all that stuff that's extreme and communist to think about. So I don't know. Mental health is a real thing. Basically, my thing is, it's like on the podcast, it's fine because it's like, listen, if I was like a comedian or an actor or like a personality of some sort, like it works perfect for the podcast. My inability to shut my brain off and just not stop fucking talking, it's great. It's great for entertainment, you know? That's what it's great for. But when I go to my day job and I'm trying to have some modicum of professionalism and just learn to bite my fucking tongue and shut the fuck up sometimes, I'm like, this is pretty hard. So it's been like a 2-year, 3-year thing now. And I wish I addressed this like 10, 12 years ago, to be honest, or maybe longer. There's definitely an anxiety thing going on with me, and it's a huge reason why I can't shut the fuck up. But I think my psychiatrist has been saying the same thing you just mentioned. It's probably an OCD thing more than anything. I want to do something about it. I want to be less obnoxious and just think more before I speak, and just be a little more thoughtful and a little less knee jerk about every fucking thing that comes out of my mind. And I think that would offend fewer people and just make me a more palatable human being to be around. And so I think it's important to try and address that. I'm the king of putting my foot in my mouth, and I would like to taste something other than feet for once in my life. So we're trying new medicines. It's so weird, dude. It drives me crazy to no end, because the first time I tried anti-anxiety medicine, because for those who don't know, the way anxiety, OCD, ADHD, depression, all of these things are treated the same fucking way. There's like 75 versions of the same goddamn drug, and they're all slightly different. And they just a psychiatrist's job is to just throw these medicines at you until one or some combination of 2 or 3 of them magically work for you. Some dosage combination makes sense for you. For some people it's this one, for some people it's that one, for some people the cause is OCD, for some people the cause is childhood trauma or whatever. Like for me, I know listen, I'm pretty blessed. I have a decent life, but I'm a fidgety little fucking mess of a human being. I'm always nervous. The first time I went and saw a psychiatrist, she's like, why do you think you have, she's like, give me an example of something that you do or experience that makes you believe you have anxiety. I was like, okay. When I go to the movie theater, sometimes I spend like the first 30 minutes of the movie, like just stressing out in my brain, because instead of watching the movie, I'm just freaking out about, oh my God, my phone is on silent mode. My mom is calling me to tell me that everyone I love is dead. Oh my God, I left the oven on at home and my house is burning down. Oh my God, I didn't close the door properly and my cat just ran away from home. Oh my God, remember in 2012 when that guy shot up a movie theater because of a Batman movie, and now I'm in a movie theater and someone's going to come shoot me up? And she goes, stop. We call that anxiety. I'm like, yeah, dumb bitch. Of course I got anxiety. I'm special. But anyway, and so ever since then, it's been like this roller coaster of like trying different doses and medications, and sometimes I quit on it, and sometimes I come back to it. But I'm so frustrated because the first time my psychiatrist put me on an antidepressant to try and attack the anxiety, it was amazing because instantly it worked. And for like 3 weeks of my life, I was the best me I'd ever been. It was amazing. I'll never forget those 3 weeks. I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt like every time I wanted to say something, my brain was like, stop, think about it. Keep the comment to yourself. And it was awesome. I was like a normal functioning human being. And then I started experiencing some really weird symptoms from that medicine, had to stop taking it. And then it's been just an absolute mess trying to figure out a solution since then. So I am, we don't have to keep going on about it, but man, I highly encourage people. Listen, if you're super sad, if you're anxious, if you have some personality thing that makes you not feel capable of being the version of yourself you want to be in public, and the version of yourself you want to put out there into the world, highly recommend. I should probably talk to a therapist as well, but seek psychiatric help or something and see. There's nothing wrong with finding a pill to make you feel a little bit better. It's weird, man. It's a weird world, man, especially with young men. Everyone wants to get ripped. Everyone wants to go to the gym, pump iron, take the supplements and the whey proteins and all the things and all these crutches to help us get better in terms of the superficial ways, but in terms of like the mental and cognitive ways of treating ourselves, understanding ourselves, and making ourselves better. It's just we just always pass the buck, right? And I don't want to be that guy, so I'm trying to do something about it. We'll see how it goes, but there's your little mental health talk for to round out this episode of Xbox On. I appreciate you writing in, Mr. Malgan. Yeah, mental health's cool, man. I'm lucky as hell. I definitely was a severely depressed kid when I was like in my high school years, and it was just, I don't know what you call it. They call they call childhood asthma. It's like you're an asthmatic when you're a kid, and then you grow out of it, and they refer to it as childhood asthma. I had like childhood depression, not because someone did something to me in my childhood, but because I just went through a natural phase in my childhood where I was just severely depressed. And then like right around the time high school wrapped up, I just snapped right out of it. And I'm good. Life's good. I'm grateful. I feel blessed. I appreciate life. It's good shit, but I'm an anxious mess all the time. Always worried about the things I can't control. There's no doubt about that. But it's super important. So take care of your mental health. If you feel like you're not capable of getting on top of your personality and how you think and feel and control yourself and handle yourself around people in general, it's go do something about it. We have the science, we have the tools, we have the knowledge, we have the ability to tackle these things. And so, it's a blessing to be alive in a time where we have all that. So take advantage of it, especially if you have the financial means to do so for yourself. You owe it to yourself, but more importantly, I think maybe the more importantly thing is you owe it to yourself, but I would say more importantly, you owe it to those you love and live in service of, your family, your friends, your people. So, that's my unsolicited advice. But with that said, guys, oh my God, that's going to be a whole ass episode of Xbox On in the can. I can't wait to play Marvel Cosmic Invasion, and I can't wait for Metroid Prime 4 to come out tomorrow so I can play the fuck out of that. But I hope you guys have some great games to look forward to, some delicious meats to grill up, and whatever the hell else it is. Burp your baby while you play Ratchet and Clank, whatever it is you do. Hope you have a great week, a safe week, a good week, a great week, a better week, an easier week, a weak week. Nope, not a weak week, a strong week. Until next week, power your dreams.